When I bought this trailer, everything leaked. Every time it rained, streams of water would pour into it. It was so much that it was hard to identify all the sources, so I set out to seal everything. This meant taking apart every piece of hardware, every screw, and sealing it properly. The trailer had obviously been leaking since it was built because rust was already starting to form on the frame. There are so many ways to seal things that it can all be a bit overwhelming. So in this video I'm going to break down how I chose to do it and what you can do too. This is butyl tape. Get used to it because it's the best sealant I could find for trailers. It is a tacky putty that comes on a roll. It works best for sealing hardware that can be compressed, so like under washers or in between light fixtures, things that can screw down. For everything else, I used caulking. The door latch leaked as well, so this is an excellent candidate for butyl tape sealant because it has two flat surfaces sandwiching together with these bolts. It is wise to test all the seals by pouring water over them. The running lights were also poorly sealed and are a good candidate for butyl tape. Butyl tape was also used on the roof racks, which you can see in episode 1. The factory recommended sealant for windows is also butyl tape. Here's what it looks like after a year of service. I showed this in more detail in the window episode, but here it is again, just being applied directly from the roll to the outside edge of the window. I have side racks out of strut channel that are bolted onto the sides of the trailer. To seal these bolts, I first compressed the butyl tape with a fender washer against the wall of the trailer, and then I backed off the nut and then bolted on the rack. I replaced the side vents with this piece of acrylic and then sealed it around the edge with butyl tape. Again, here's what it looks like after 1 year. The door latch hardware came unsealed and had been leaking for some time, showing rust on the door frame and a little bit of rot on the wood. This is another good candidate to seal with butyl tape. Butyl tape works best when sealed between two surfaces that compress it. However, I wanted to try 2 cases where I just stuck it on the surface, kind of as a temporary, easy repair. And here's what they look like after 1 year, and they're holding up pretty good. They get dirty and gross looking, but they're definitely sealing out water. None of the external self-tapping screws were sealed, and they did leak. For the screws, I used these weather-resistant washers that I got off McMaster. There are hundreds of self-tapping screws that now need to be removed. These screws have large burrs on them, which need to be filed down and pulled off. I screwed all of these silicone washers in down tightly against the outer skin. Here is what the washer looks like after 1 year of service. The weatherization lives up to its name. For sealing that isn't compressed between two surfaces, I used this ProFlex RV caulking. These trailers plus cargo trailers have aluminum panels in sections, and they have seams. And once you get the walls down, you might as well run a bead of caulk along every seam and every gap on the inside of the trailer. I also worked with this Dynaflex Ultra caulking from DAP. The rear brake lights had a big gap around the outside edge that could let water in, so I sealed that up with this black DAP caulking. I actually liked this caulking so much that I used it for decorative things on the inside of the trailer as well. It's a good product, and it seems to hold up to weather just fine. I want to talk briefly about using spray foams as sealants. Spray foam works best in large gaps in the trailer. Like, for example, on the front corners of my trailer, there were large places that the walls did not meet the floor, so things like bugs and rodents could get into the trailer. I sealed this with spray foam. The screws holding down the aluminum roof skin are covered with an Eternabond aluminum tape. And at the front and the back of the trailer, along the tape, there is this quad OSI caulking applied with a putty knife to spread it out. And for the installation of the roof vent, I used a Dicor lap sealant generously around the edge. That we'll get into more detail later.